Hey guys, it's Jet888 here. It is September 6th. That's 9/6 today at 1:02 p.m. We've got these helicopters that have just been hovering overhead, and look at the, looks like there's a whole group of them. Let me go look and see. Well, let's first look at this guy. So there's no call sign. So the thing is when you're outside, you just hear noise, just overhead, constant noise. This is the, let's see, the information on this actual aircraft. Eurocopter UH-72A Lakota, registration 1272233. They're flying at 7,500 feet, 7,500 feet, but you can't, look, track 102, but you cannot see them. I mean, it's impossible to see them. I can hear them constantly, but I can't see them. Now here's another one that's flying overhead, just same as this one here, and this one is the same type of helicopter, same kind, so it must be military. They're flying lower though at 975 feet. So we have three military craft making what could be a triangle, hovering, just hovering forever. Let's go look at this guy's information. Now they are hovering over Brownfield Airport. They've laid a different pattern, but they sure are doing circles also. And there's no information on this person. So they start at 11:28. Let's go look at their registration. Of course, it's got an 88 in it. So we have three military looking like helicopters just hovering in a triangle type of formation. Now this aircraft right here, it says it's being diverted to Albuquerque, New Mexico. So something's going on. This is a JetBlue flight. It's being diverted to Albuquerque. And you've got all these helicopters here. There's the border just south. You've got this Ronin 49 from Phoenix, AZ, Arizona. Looks military. It is U.S. Navy. And they're flying about 2,000 feet. They vary. So you got a lot of military action right here on the border right now. And we have this Airbus helicopter hovering or just getting ready to take off from Coronado military base, and there they are. Let's see what's going on. They haven't taken off yet though. So this guy's still circling, obsessing over the Chula Vista Bonita, is that National City, with no call sign since 11:29 a.m. They are the U.S. Army with the bear. You got the bear there, California. Yep, U.S. Army. So what could be going on here? So this is the West Coast. Oh, West Coast, California. There's Chula Vista, Coronado. We're just miles, like 8 or 9 miles from the Tijuana, the Mexican border. I'm gonna go outside and see if you can hear them, because I sure can. You've got this United plane 1166 flying overhead right there. So I'm gonna go outside and see if we can hear them. Yeah, I can't hear him right now. He's too far east. So it looks like, no, they're going to head back. When they head back, let's see if we can pick up the sound. But it's really irritating. Going over Southwestern College. Hovering there. And they began their flight from Montgomery Gibbs Executive Airport and flew over to Tecolote, which is Owl, headed west to the 5 and then started going south on the 5. Passing Crown Point. It looks like a little ritual. They flew by Gaslamp Quarter and Petco Park, still heading south, and flew down towards Imperial Beach and Chula Vista, that Fruitdale. That's where, and the Sunbow, see that Sunbow Fruitdale? This is where they've done so many other circular flights before. They're obsessed with this area. Somebody must have left a bottle cap of water out, and maybe there's some mosquitoes harboring there, so maybe they're just looking for mosquitoes to help keep us all safe. I'm sure that's it. Oh yeah, and speaking of keeping us all safe, just for a little while I'll show you something. I was actually looking at this when I started hearing all the helicopter noise. This is an article, Toxicity of Ferric Chloride Sludge to Aquatic Organisms. Ferric chloride is what they put in our drinking water to help supposedly clean it. Here are the researchers. This was on the NIH website. And the reason why this caught my interest, it talks about acute toxic sludge, sludge toxicity, I guess, was not detected, but it did say, and I'm going to bring this up, conductivity. So they did some tests, and they found on a, what they call it, basically a water flea. It's small planktonic. It's a little water flea. And I'm going to jump to one more study regarding these little Daphnia similis, what it says about helping the shrimp, white shrimp, develop a good immune response. So it mentions these guys specifically, and it says that they're efficacious at boosting the immunity of shrimp by preventing and controlling infectious diseases caused by Vibrio, and have a great potential to be used as feasible immunostimulants that significantly contributes to the circular economy. So going back to this study about ferric chloride sludge to aquatic organisms, and this states chronic effects were observed upon the fecundity of that little flea, the little water flea. So that ferric chloride sludge had a negative effect on the receiving body, as here was increased suspended matter, turbidity, conductivity. So if they're putting this in your drinking water and they see that it increases the conductivity of this little organism, and chemical and oxygen demand, that's COD, cod, remember hook, codfish, chemical oxygen demand. You know, it's like, remember the I can't breathe? This says the ferric chloride sludge also exhibited high heavy metal concentrations, revealing a further potential for pollution and harmful chronic effects on the aquatic biota when the sludge is disposed of without previous treatment. So I wonder what that does to us when we drink the water that has this in it. And I looked into the word conductivity, and conductivity is the quality or power of conducting or transmitting. And here the symbol, there's the symbol origin of conductivity, and that's where I'm getting to my point here. Long-winded, sorry. See the Ouroboros? There's the symbol, that O, and it looks like that would be that, Ouroboros. See them just chasing their tails round and round in circle? So this Ouroboros, it literally means eating the tail eater. Look at that. Does that look like a tail eater to you? Traveling at 102 knots, well, down to 90. I mean, they look like they're chasing their own tail. So back to the Ouroboros. This little article read, it said pronounced as Ouroboros. This symbol represents how everything is in the universe is interconnected, going back to nature and becoming one with it once again after death. The unbroken circle of the snake eating itself represents universal unity, rebirth, and renewal through death. I wonder what they're trying to tell us. So of course I went and looked up Tail Eater in the gematria, 321, 546, and 91. How convenient, 91. Tail Eater. Oracle of Delphi, Flat Earth, Klaus as in Schwab, Astro as in probably the moon. Of course, Astro here, Greek from Astron, stars. Maybe that's why football is so important, because AstroTurf. Huh. Because football with, you know, the Super Bowl, Superb Owl, remember that? So related to stars. And let's see, I think I hear them coming back. Yeah, so they're heading back. Let's go see if we can hear them. Okay, I can slightly hear it, so I don't know if you guys can or not. Can you hear them over the roosters? I can definitely hear them. So they look like they're heading north, north, maybe, hopefully they're leaving. We'll see. But real quickly, back to the Tail Eater. After Astro, we have Kronos and Real Lord God, among many others. Oh, and also we have God 7, which is 901, which is 91, with Phoenix also. Flip that around, you got 19, as in Kronos 19. So regarding the Tail Eater, it's also technically called Ouroboros, and these are the numbers for this. It's also radiation geoengineering, which is 603. Why did I do that? Oh, so 603 also is jab. And look at that number 63. I just thought, okay, if you flipped that around and turned it upside down, it would be 93. Like, remember when Artemis was trying to take off, but they had some fuel leak or something? So I went back up to look at that word conductivity, and that's the quality or power of conducting transmitting. He just made a figure 8. So I looked at this Ouroboros a little bit more. It's the serpent or dragon eating its own tail. The Ouroboros entered Western tradition via ancient Egyptian iconography and the Greek magical tradition. It was adopted as a symbol of Gnosticism and Hermeticism. Remember yesterday, or my last video, I mentioned the Hermes and the Hermeticism, and most notably in alchemy. So I looked up alchemy, a medieval chemical philosophy having as its asserted aims the transmutation of base metals into gold. You know, we have iron in our blood, right? The discovery of the panacea, is that how you say it, panacea, and the preparation of the elixir of longevity, a seemingly magical power or process of transmuting, you know, with all this RNA jabs that people have had in them. Here's one explanation I thought was interesting. Any magical power or process of transmuting a common substance, usually of little value, into a substance of great value. Remember how we're being told that we're like degenerates? So any process of transmuting a common substance, like common people, usually of little value, like useless eaters, into a substance of great value, maybe something like high-tech robotic type of something, maybe. Right here is a symbol of gold, and this came into, see the bismuth, and guess what, the abbreviation for that is BI, like bi, but that's like a figure 8, like infinity, and I mentioned this the other day. There's a couple infinity symbols put together. But this was interesting to me. I've never really heard of bismuth. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but is a chemical element with the symbol Bi. Like, we haven't seen a lot of that lately. And atomic number 83. Let's go look at 83. As a flying psychopath is still at it. That's interesting because Marcus is, we go 411 and 83. Marcus. It's also the Donald. It's also collapse. That's interesting. It's waiting. And Titans. It's also election. Here they are. I can hear them again. Can you hear them? Oh, there they are. I can finally see them. There they are. '83 is also CNN, but if you add 8 plus 3, that's 11. If you flip 83, it's 38. You got Bible, Alice, Eagle, Beam, Mag. Oh, and Lied. That's one we could probably all get behind, listening to what our government talks about all the time. But they also use bismuth, I should say, pharmacy products. So it says bismuth is an incredible natural metal, and when cooled slowly forms amazing geometric crystals due to its atomic structure. As bismuth oxidizes, it turns a very wide array of iridescent colors, and the light refracts in many different hues. I mean, it looks beautiful. And look close up, look at this. See how they have little spirals in them? So I looked up bismuth, and I thought this was interesting. So intergalactic god, Treason, Kronos, yellow. Yellow has been a code color for them for a long time now. Decode the N, intergalactic god, and God's dragon data. And guess what? When I looked at that, an economic collapse, and God's creation. When I looked at God's dragon data and I looked at the anagram for that, which also equals 439, which is bismuth, God's dragon data equals God's DNA data.org. Isn't that weird? And that has the number 130 also in their simple gematria, as well as 439 for the Jewish, but it's also the serpent, vaccinations, Washington, we the people, purple rain, Pythagoras, and television, and George W. Bush. They're all 130. You could also kind of see that as 13. So when we hear the serpent, we're all back to square one. Oh look, it looks like they finally are heading east now. Still with no call sign. I wonder what they're going to do there. That's Otay Lake's reservoir right there. So let's see how long they've been flying. Since 11:29, and it's 2:00 p.m. right now, 9/6. Guess what? Let's look at 9/6. That's really interesting. So 9/6 can be cage, which there's 16 and 9/6. Black Camel and Black Magic with a K, the way Aleister Crowley liked to spell it. And yeah, quickly back to that ferric chloride, which they're putting in all of our drinking water to supposedly clean it, and it has a huge, where'd that word go? Conductivity. So remember the tail eater being numerically equivalent to astro as 321 there. And what I was talking about the other day about the thelema, I don't know how to say that, thelema, I don't think so, thelema, by Aleister Crowley. And they're known as the 93 thelema. And we covered this the other day with the Artemis launching that didn't launch. And he had many weird satanic groups, but one of them was the Order of the Silver Star. And their whole belief system behind the law of thelema is, do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Thou wilt here means to live by one's own true will. Right. Don't worry about how you affect other people, right? Right, Klaus? Unelected psychopathic Klaus and all his following butt buddy puppets. And they're also into the Iong of Horus, which is like the Eye of Horus, the all-seeing eye. And this Satanist, his name is Michael Aquino, and he was Lieutenant Colonel, Psychological Operations, U.S. Army, retired, National Defense University, Defense Intelligence College, Defense Intelligence Agency. I mean, he is into the government. He was a psychological operator. U.S. Army Command and General Staff. I mean, look at all his little decorated, he's very decorated, but yet he was a Satanist. He wrote the book, The Satanic Bible, and he has all these weird kind of origami looking things, which NASA likes origami. And he started the church called the Temple of Set. And this is why I'm getting to this. The Temple of Set, it says, governed by a high priest or a high priestess and a wider council of 9, the temple is also divided into groups known as pylons, through which citizens can meet or correspond in order to advance their magical works in a particular area. Pylons of the temple are now present in the United States, Australia, and Europe, with estimates placing the temple's membership between 200 and 5. I bet it's more than that. Anyhow, when I looked at the word pylons, guess what? Oh, and do you remember how I showed this sign, the PQBD, kind of like the devil horns upside down and like facing each other? Remember that PQD, whatever, P, it equals meta. Well, the word pylon, and I'm just kind of going back to that connectivity thing, conductivity. Look at this, is these powered pylons. These are called electricity pylons. Does anyone see any kind of resemblance between the pylons and, look at that, the Baphomet head? But it says high voltage pylons at sunset. And those devil worshippers whose names they refer to themselves as Setians. The anagram is each sin are nasties. And if you look at the gematria of Setians, microphone, billionaires, losers, stroke, Bill Gates, Omicron, and I'm out of time, but there's the anagram for Temple of Set, leftist poem. You know, Bill Gates is a poet. So this guy in our military, if we want to look at the way Biden's been talking about anyone who's a Republican or a MAGA lover or whatever, this guy being in the military was a Satanist. Does that mean everyone's a Satanist who's a politician or in the military? Like we're enemies of the state? Michael Aquino's, though, the gematria, God's hell proof, Neptune, I'm the son of God, souls, Somerset, spill the beans, don't spill the beans, Walt Disney, and astrology and world order. Michael Aquino is also Ray's logo, Ray's house, Ray's sign, William Gates, and Super Bowl. In my next video, I'm going to cover the Biden's satanic ritual. So don't forget,